People often assume that if someone is still struggling with diabetes, they must be doing something wrong. Maybe they're eating too much. Maybe they're skipping routines. Maybe they're not trying hard enough. But when you listen carefully to real experiences, something more complicated appears. Many people who struggle with diabetes aren't ignoring advice. They're following it. They're checking labels, walking after meals, reducing sugar, building routines, taking medications, scheduling appointments, trying to sleep better, trying to stay consistent. And yet sometimes they still feel like progress moves slower than expected. That experience creates a difficult question. If effort is there, why does improvement still feel unpredictable? That question matters because diabetes management is often described as a formula. Follow the rules, get the result. But bodies don't always behave like formulas. And that doesn't mean the rules are useless. It means regulation may be more dynamic than people expect. Most people think diabetes management starts with food, and food absolutely matters. But everyday regulation appears to involve more than one variable. Sleep changes how people feel. Stress changes choices. Energy changes movement. Movement changes recovery. Recovery changes the next day. One change can quietly affect another. That's where frustration starts. Because people usually notice the visible action, they don't always notice the invisible conditions surrounding it. Imagine two people eating the same breakfast. One feels stable until lunch. One feels tired an hour later. One feels satisfied. One keeps thinking about food. From the outside, those situations look identical. Internally, they may not feel identical at all. And when outcomes don't match expectations, people often increase effort. Stricter routines. More tracking, more rules, more control. At first that feels productive, but eventually another challenge appears. Mental fatigue. Because managing diabetes isn't one decision, it's repeated decisions. Every meal, every schedule, every social event, every interruption. And over time, even highly motivated people can feel worn down. That doesn't mean they stopped caring. Sometimes it means they cared for too long without feeling rewarded. That distinction matters. Because frustration often gets mistaken for lack of discipline, but frustration and effort can exist together. Another layer people rarely talk about is adaptation. People expect consistency, but the body responds to changing conditions. Sleep, stress, work, travel, recovery, timing. Daily life isn't static, and regulation isn't static either. That doesn't mean nothing works. It means progress doesn't always feel linear. This becomes emotionally difficult because expectations quietly change. People start believing, if I do everything correctly, I should always get predictable results. But biology rarely promises that. Better habits increase probability. They don't create perfect control. And understanding that difference can reduce unnecessary pressure. Because the goal isn't to become perfect at diabetes management. The goal is creating systems that remain realistic when life becomes ordinary. Not optimized. Ordinary. That shift changes the conversation. Instead of asking, why am I still struggling? People begin asking, what variables might I not be seeing? That question creates more room for observation and less room for blame. The real issue isn't that people fail to follow diabetes rules. It's that human biology often responds through multiple connected systems instead of one simple equation. That doesn't make effort meaningless. It makes context important. And sometimes understanding that can make the process feel less frustrating and more sustainable. If you want a structured breakdown with practical examples about blood sugar, habits, and building more sustainable health systems, there's a step-by-step framework in the description. And if you enjoy calm, educational conversations that explore health beyond simple answers, subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.